All right, sorry about that, guys. Just give me one moment. I had a little bit of technical difficulties, but here we go. Handled here. Bit of light. There we go. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Raven's Eye. We got another Ask a Pagan live stream here going. Hello, everybody that's already in here. Welcome to the show. Real quick, I'm just going to post in the Discord that we are live, almost on schedule. Just give me one moment, guys. All right. So, did I dye my hair? Yes, I did. My hair is not supposed to be blonde. It's supposed to be gray. It's already fading, and I just did it. All right. Caught trying to cross the border. Interesting. Okay. All right, guys, go ahead and start shooting out your questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Shall you wait until we get others? No. Go ahead. Shoot out your questions. We'll go ahead and start now. Skyrim references. Okay. The end goal for heathenry. Okay, so asking what the end goal for heathenry is a complicated question. I believe that the end goal is independent of each person. It is something that is individual to them. The end goal for me with heathenry may be different than it is for you or for somebody else. Ultimately, I believe that for me, the end goal of heathenry is to grow closer to the gods, grow closer to the earth and to the land spirits and to the people in general. And basically to leave a lasting mark on the world. Next question. How would we aim to affect the world? Basically by just trying to live the best lives we can and try to perpetuate harmony amongst everyone and with the world around us. Having that harmony with the world and everyone around you is the best way to have a positive impact on the world. Can I make a video explaining the different names for the religion and their meanings and specifications? Honestly, there's been a lot of people that have done videos on the difference between the different types of paganism and heathenry, going into explaining the different types of like asatru, vanatru, thursatru, and rokatru. But yeah, I could probably put together a quick video that'll give a brief explanation of some of the more common versions of heathenry and paganism. Because honestly, there's probably a lot more than even I'm aware of. I didn't even know that Jotun True was actually a real thing until probably a year or 2 years ago. Yeah, I can explain the difference between Saxon heathenry and Norse heathenry. Essentially, Norse heathenry, like the name implies, is the particular flavor, I guess you could say, of heathenry that would have been practiced by the more northern people, like the Scandinavians, whereas Saxony, the Saxons brought their version of heathenry with them over from the mainland to England, where it sort of changed over time as it was isolated from the rest of the heathen populations. I'm actually not really the best person to explain the differences between Saxon heathenry and Norse heathenry, as I don't really know much about the Saxon version. But I will look into that, and I will come up with a video to try and explain it as best as I can. All right, so we're up to 5 people now. All right. Any more questions, guys? Keep them coming. Can fighting in sport be religious? In a way, anything you can do could be done in a sense in a religious way. It just depends on whether or not you are doing it to honor your gods or God or whatever deity that you pray to. I know that in like Mesoamerican cultures, they used to play a type of ball game as part of a religious ceremony. I don't know a whole lot about it, and it is actually probably something I should look more into. The Celts in Ireland used to play hurling as a way to honor the gods. It is actually labeled as the fastest game on grass and is one of the oldest games in history. It's actually a pretty brutal of a game if you want to check it out at some point. What do I like about modern heathenry and what would I change? Okay, so I used to be a Reconstructionist, like a pretty strict Reconstructionist. I used to think that if there wasn't any like sources for it, then it shouldn't belong in the practice. But over time, as I started to learn that there really wasn't that much as in the way of sources, I started moving more towards being more of an eclectic and syncretic pagan. I kind of believe that like modern heathenry needs to evolve with society. There's just certain things about the way that heathenry used to be practiced that may not fit in our society these days. Tic-tac-toe isn't the oldest. No, Isaiah, I do not believe tic-tac-toe is the oldest. That might actually be pin the tail on the donkey. All right. Next question, guys. What is the significance of bringing back the old ways? Personally, I think that the significance of the old ways coming back is a sign that people are starting to become more in tune with the earth around them. They're starting to see the damages that they have done to the world, and that people are collectively starting to take steps to live more in tune with the world, because we only have one planet, and until Elon Musk actually manages to build a colony on Mars, it's going to remain that way. So we should take care of this planet, and definitely, like I said, the old ways coming back is definitely, in my opinion, a big sign of people just wanting to be closer to the earth and take better care of it. Heathenry on Mars. Now, I think that if a heathen was on Mars, they could absolutely worship the same gods. However, they're going to have completely different spirits. They can't have the same land spirits that we have here, because the land spirits we have here are here, not on Mars. So Martian land spirits are definitely going to have to be very different, and I would be very keen on learning and meeting any Martian land spirits. I think that'd be fucking awesome. But that's a day far off in the future and may not even come in my lifetime. I expect that the spirits on other planets and moons would probably be very similar to the spirits that we have here. Not much different. Martian ones might be a little red, or they might be little green men. Next question, folks. So, what is the common ritual clothing in modern day paganism? Common ritual clothing. A lot of people like to do basically like the same sort of style tunics that like Vikings used to wear 1,000 years ago. So it's very common for you to see people wearing that with a belt over top. Viking breeches, contrary to popular belief, did not go all the way down to your ankles. They stopped right about your knee, and then the lower leg was covered in basically a giant sock, and then strapped to your leg with bands of cloth. I don't see that being a very common thing amongst heathens as ritual wear, unless they are strict Reconstructionists. However, I do see, like I said, tunics with a belt over them as being a very common thing, as well as masks are extremely common for ritual use. You're right, Corey. The spirits on other planets or moons would have zero experience with humans, and they would probably be more confused about our appearance than we would be about theirs. Please don't dress like it's purge night for a ritual. That's just no, don't do it. I see zero reason why you should. Yeah, got to turn it on. Purge raid, what's the difference? A purge has only the intent of just killing people. A raid is the intent of looting people. There's a difference between killing and looting. Should young pagans learn how to defend themselves without weapons? I believe everybody should learn how to defend themselves, and that goes doubly for myself, because at the moment, I do not know how to fight. And I think I should. I think everybody should. Honestly, I do believe that learning martial arts does give you a sort of discipline over your own body that you can't really get from doing anything else. And like unless you're like an athlete that's dedicated to a particular sport. Um, but yeah, everyone should learn how to defend themselves. What are the most important poems to the heathen faith? These right here, the Poetic Edda. It is by far the most important set of poems to this faith. And in particular, the one that gets the most attention and is considered most important by the vast majority of pagans is the Havamal, the words of Odin, the words of the High One. So I always recommend that you definitely want to at least read the Havamal, but the Poetic Edda is also one that you really should read. There's a lot of information about mythology, about the lore, the gods, and about the different sagas all within these poems, and it's good information. Plus, a lot of them are entertaining. My favorite stanza of the Havamal. Well, since I have my Havamal, it's going to be fairly easy to pull that out. Just find it. All right. Havamal 34. It's a long and crooked walk to a bad friend, even if he lives nearby. But it's an easy road to a good friend, no matter how long the journey. That is by far my absolute favorite stanza in the Havamal, because it really is true. I've had plenty of bad friends in my life and plenty of good ones, and for the bad friends, even if they lived right across the street, they're not people that I wanted to go and see all the time. Really good friends, I would travel across the state to go see them. So that stanza has really always just really resonated with me. What do I recommend doing when making an outdoor altar? Okay, so I think that you should absolutely clean the space. I don't just mean pick up trash, because that is absolutely important, but I mean the spot where you're actually going to build the altar. Sweep away the debris, clear away any weeds, get rid of dead leaves and sticks, pine cones, and stuff like that. Move it all out of the way. Get yourself a nice clean area to work with, and then you build up from there. Personally, every time I go out to my altar, I try and take something with me that I can use to add to it. Hi, dog, leave me alone. So my altar has grown a lot over time, and it will continue to grow the more that I visit it, and the more that I bring other people to it, and the more that they visit it. I'm sure it will grow more with each person every single time. Show the pupper. Fine. Tramp, come here. There you go. There's the puppy. Hello, puppies. Hey, sit. There you go, guys. You can take a good look at him now. If you sit still. No? Too excited? All right. There you go. You saw the puppy. The only thing that's missing now is the cat and the bird. Can't get the fish. Dog string. What? Did I miss something? All right. All right, guys, go ahead. Come on. Keep shooting questions. We're losing people, guys. Come on. What makes the runes spiritual? We make them spiritual. There is no actual evidence of what the runes were used for other than a writing system. There is no evidence that the markings that were described as being drawn on lots and then casted to tell fortunes were actually runes. For all we know, they could have been completely different symbols and had completely different meanings. The meanings that the runes have are meanings that we have ascribed to them ourselves. And the meanings we use today are based primarily off of the Saxon rune poems. So, in all honesty, the meanings that you're using, if you're using them for the Elder Futhark, you are wrong. The Saxon runes are actually superior in every single way. However, personally, I still use the Elder runes because I like the aesthetics of them. I just like the way the Elder Futhark looks. So I use it primarily. But like I said, we give it the meaning. Its spiritual value is what we give it. Yes, Odin did use runes in the magic known as Galder, but we do not know if the runes that he used are the runes that we have today. For all we know, there could have been a completely separate set of runes that were used only for magical purposes, but we don't have records of them today. In fact, we actually do have records of several different types of runes and different rune sets coming from all across Europe from various time periods dating way back thousands of years. In fact, I believe the earliest runes were Etruscan, I want to say. But over time, they did make their way west and south, and then back up and east, and then back down south, and they kind of moved back and forth. And the stories that we have of Odin using the runes for Galder never actually specifically state what runes he is using. And I may actually be wrong on that. So if I am wrong on that, I hope somebody will correct me in the comments in the chat there. Some poems talk about that kind of runes. Yeah, in one person's lifetime, the same rune could easily have probably had multiple different meanings ascribed to it by different people, and you could probably have gone from one side of Europe to the other, seen the same exact set of runes, and they could have had two completely different, quote-unquote, spiritual meanings. No, modern heathenry is not completely influenced by Christianity. A lot of people do talk about ditching the prose edit because they feel that it is so heavily influenced by Christianity that it's not worth looking at. However, here's the thing. All religions are going to be influenced by every other religion that they ever come into contact with, and to assume that that is not going to happen is ignorant. All right? So, yes, we do have to thank Christians for the survival of this religion and for maintaining the stories. And yeah, they may have embellished some things and changed some things to better align with their visions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to just throw away the prose edda. It still tells the stories of the gods. It still tells the sagas of the heroes. it is still worth reading. It is still worth learning from. Just take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, and that's all. And like I said before, this religion needs to evolve over time. It needs to evolve as society does. Our society has been influenced by Christianity for the last 2,000 years. It's not going to stop anytime soon. Christianity is still going to have an effect on the way that heathenry evolves over time. And there's really not much that we could or should do about that. I'm not 100% sure about Saxo Grammaticus writing up the Codex Regius. Let me look that up real quick. No, the Codex Regius is an Icelandic codex in which many Norse poems are preserved and thought to be written around the 1270s by Snorri Sturluson. Yeah, so it was Snorri Sturluson that wrote the Codex Regius as well. Saxo Grammaticus wrote something else. He was writing about pagans, if I remember correctly. He wrote the history of the Danes, the Gesta Danorum, or story of the Danes, and that was sometime between the 12th and 13th centuries. Saxo Grammaticus was a Danish historian that lived approximately 1160 to 1210, I think. No, 1220. Sorry, I stand corrected on that. So he was about 60 years old or so when he died. But like I said, yeah, his Gestas Danorum is basically just a history of the Danes up until that point in time. Questions coming, guys. Page 252, you say, of Crawford's Edda. Let's see. Okay. This should be an interesting one to read. I'll put this on my list to read. Probably read that one tomorrow. How do I pray to the gods? I light a candle. No, but actually, I just talk to the gods like I talk to myself. I mean, I don't really necessarily expect to feel anything or sense anything or hear anything in my head when I talk to the gods. I just kind of talk to them. I just kind of tell them what's going on, why I'm thanking them, what I'm offering them, or whatever's going on. I don't always have a strict guideline for the way that I pray or make an offering. when I give a candle as an offering, it's usually just completely wordless. I light the candle and I just send my intentions, I guess you could say, to the gods. My intentions to offer them that candle and to give them that little piece of myself. Why did I choose to become heathen? I did not choose to become heathen. I just kind of realized I always was and didn't know it. So it's just, I don't really, like I said, I didn't really choose it. It's just I kind of stopped ignoring the fact that I was already heathen. Hello, Aki. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Hope I did. Remember, guys, this is a no-holds-barred question and answer session. You can literally ask me anything you want, and I will give you an answer. I do actually want to talk real quick about a video that Jackson Crawford recently put up, and I will drop a link in the comments after this so that you guys can see that later. But it was a video that he did about Loki having the name Lofter, and also about Heimdall. Oh, damn, I didn't mean to play that. Sorry, not Heimdall. Heimir. Or Hemir. Can't remember how he pronounces it. Anyways, so in his video, he was talking about how Lofena, which was, I think that's how he pronounced it, is a name that he had thought was just a feminine combination of Lofter and Honir, which means sky chicken. So the moment that he said that, it started setting off alarm bells in my head, because I had just a few weeks ago posted a video about my personal theory that Heimdall is Einir. We don't really have any mentions of Heimdall before the Aesir-Vanir War, and after the Aesir-Vanir War, we really don't have much mentions of Honir. But when we do, he's only ever seen with Odin and Loki. So, like, I just had this whole entire thought like run through my head that just helped solidify in my mind that I have to be on the right track here. That this might actually be a real possibility, that Honir shifted to being in Heimdall over time, and as such, because he took on that new name, Honir went by the wayside and started to be assumed to be a different god. But I'll post a link, like I said, to Jackson Crawford's video as well as to my video in the comments after the live stream. So I put a lot of work into that video on Heimdall and Honir, like a lot of research. I spent weeks and weeks and weeks researching it and connecting dots. And like, I will tell you, it was difficult. There's almost no information out there about Honir. Like, it's just a tiny little bit of information that you can fit into pretty much like 2 paragraphs, and that's about it. Hello, Son of Simp. Welcome to the live stream. Do I think the later periods after Christianity in history can teach us about practices in heathenism? Yes, because as I said earlier in the live stream, society evolved. Heathenry has evolved over time. And for instance, like the Icelandic magical staves that we know today were not created until probably around the medieval ages, sometime after Christianization. So a lot of these symbols, like the Aegishjalmur and the Vigvisir, that a lot of people assume are old heathen symbols from pre-Christian times, are actually these Icelandic magical staves that were created and used probably around the time of Christianization all the way up through the medieval times. So their history is not actually as old as a lot of people think. So we can learn a lot about the way that heathens were practicing in post-Christianization based off of the way that their folk traditions stayed alive. Different types of folk magic and folk tales can teach us a lot about the different beliefs of these people. They could show us how they interacted with local spirits on a day-to-day basis. Like, for instance, here in Florida, we have something called swamp ape or skunk ape. It's basically Florida's version of Bigfoot. So folk tales about skunk ape or swamp ape that we tell here today have an effect on the way that heathenry is practiced. I'm not saying that we have to believe that swamp ape is real in order to be a heathen, but part of the way that heathenry survives is through those oral tales, through that oral tradition. So those folk tales that we tell each other and have been telling each other for thousands of years is how we keep this tradition alive, and is how we learn more about it. So we can look at the differences between the pre-Christian folktales and the post-Christianization folktales to see what changes Christianization caused in the belief systems of those people and the ways that they practiced, which can shed some light on how it's going to continue to evolve going forward. Do I know any pagan tattoo artists in the area? Unfortunately, I do not know any pagan tattoo artists in the Orlando area. I wish I did. I would love to find some tattoo artists. I've got multiple tattoos that are waiting to be done, and a few that are long overdue for being done or finished. Can I make a video on archaeological finds of Loki pendants and possible shrines? I will absolutely do that. No questions about it. I absolutely 100% will do a video about that. Loki is by far like one of my favorite gods. I have 3 candles back here. I have one for Heimdall, one for Odin, and then one for Loki. Loki's already kind of burned out and melted away, but Loki is by far my favorite god, so I will jump at any chance I can to have an opportunity to make a video about some different aspect of him or something related to him. However, I knew that there were finds of like some possible Loki pendants, but I didn't know anything about a possible shrine. Although, if Jackson Crawford is correct, and I'm like 100% sure he is correct on this, and Loki really is the loved one of the Aesir, of the gods, and then it would make total sense to me that there would be shrines for him, even if they're few and far between. Plus, him being the loved one of the gods makes absolute sense as to why they would keep him around with all of the bullshit and antics that he gets up to. Not to mention, he does sleep with like pretty much every single goddess. except for Hel. But yeah, I think he pretty much slept with like every single goddess. Thoughts on Slavic paganism? There's a lot of similarities between Slavic paganism and Norse paganism. They do have the same roots in the Proto-Indo-European cultures. So you can actually learn a lot about one by learning about the other. However, that does not mean that the information is actually transliteral. You can't take necessarily the information from Norse paganism and directly apply it to Slavic paganism and vice versa. It can help you to understand by knowing both, but it's not you're not going to fully know one by knowing the other. But like I said, yeah, they have a lot of similarities. Like I believe Thunar is the name of their god of thunder. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's Thunar. And like everybody else knows, Thor is the god of thunder in Norse mythology. Where Thunar wields an axe, while Thor wields a hammer. So there are differences between the gods there. So for folks already. I've never heard of the Nixie before. I'm gonna have to look into that and see what it actually is. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna have to go find a Nixie now, offer it some blood so I can learn how to play the violin so beautifully that I'll make the trees weep. For you all to understand, I absolutely love the violin. It is by far my favorite instrument. I do know how to play it. Unfortunately, I do not have one. And I am actually not that good at it. I'm okay. I'm decent, but I am not great. And I can barely read music. So, trading 3 drops of blood to be able to play the violin so beautifully the trees would cry would be a dream come true. You can just use like a little a lancet and just prick your finger and it'll give you 3 drops of blood and then it'll close up. There you go. Don't cut yourself. You don't need to do that. There's 0 need to cut yourself. Be Chad, get Taggle Harper. Aren't you already getting the Taggle Harper? Perun. Oh. Perun is the god of the sky in Slavic mythology. Thank you for correcting me on that. Like I said, I wasn't sure. I need to look more into Slavic paganism, honestly, because I feel like it would be wise. I'm constantly advocating for people to look at more sources and to learn from more religions than just one in order to better understand. I am absolutely a syncretic, eclectic pagan, and I kind of pull bits and pieces from a bunch of different faiths to enhance my own. But at the same time, I try and make sure that anything that I take from another faith, I'm giving full justice to that and honoring it and not like corrupting it in any way. Yes, Lindsay the Wildling makes some of the most amazing like taggle harps I have ever seen. Check her out on Etsy and on Instagram. She makes some awesome stuff. You will not be disappointed. All right, any other questions, guys? No? All right, so just a couple of things that I want to talk about real quick. I do not know how to answer that question on how the Norse people perceived winter, what it really signified for them. I'm a Floridian, dude. Like, we don't get snow here. We barely even have a winter. Our winter doesn't start until February, and well, mid-January, February, and it doesn't end until the end of March. So we get like 2 months where it's cold, and then it's back to being 80 degrees every day. I'm not the person to ask about the significance of winter to any cultural group. It does get cold though here. It does. I did go up to go to work the other day, and my motorcycle was covered in ice. Like there was a full layer of ice over the whole motorcycle. That was not a fun ride in the morning. Yes, it was over 80 degrees for most of today. And Isaiah, if you want to send some of that 2 feet of snow that you got up there down to us, I'm sure that the rest of the Floridians would either love you or hate you, but I absolutely would love you to send some snow down here. And the Floridians would freak out. We know how to survive a hurricane. But if snow starts to fall from the sky, people are going to be looking up at me like, why is there cocaine falling from the clouds? Nobody here is going to know what snow is. All right, so a couple of things that I wanted to talk about real quick. I did make some updates and some changes onto the Discord. You'll be able to find a link to the Discord down in the description below. We added some new channels. We added a channel for people to share any artwork or like poetry or anything that they craft. For if they want to sell anything that they make, they can post it on there and people can DM them and they can find buyers for their stuff. We made a new channel for brewing where you can learn about the art of brewing mead or beer, wine, spirits. The Discord will forever be free to everybody to join. There is the paid members only area for Patreon members, but it's literally just an extra chat that can be a little bit more private because there's not going to be as many people in it. So I also wanted to let you guys know that I am considering doing the live stream more than just every other week. I might do it every week. It depends on whether or not you guys want to see the live stream that often. I am also going to start reaching out to some other YouTubers to try and get them to join me on this live stream so you can have a Q&A session with them as well. If you are interested in being a part of this live stream and being a guest on it, you can send me a message through the Discord or through Instagram. You can send me an email. I'll make sure to put the email in the description down below where you can contact me as well. There will be a podcast that is going to be coming up. Corey and I will be the hosts on it, and I am trying to currently find a couple of other people to host with me as well. Might get 1 or 2 other people, but we will be starting to record the podcast here within probably the next week or 2. I do plan on getting a website up and running here soon, and I'm going to be trying to establish a multi-channel network for pagan YouTubers to try and help provide better tools and resources to them, as well as to help other YouTubers get a start. Now, that is a plan that's going to take a while to get to because at the moment, I'm not even at a close enough spot where I can monetize. Before anybody says anything, apparently YouTube is changing things so that even if you are not monetized, you are still going to end up getting ads on your channel. So there is literally 0 reason not to monetize anymore because no matter what, there's going to be ads on your content. And anyways, so the podcast is going to be pretty much just a conversation style podcast with me and the other co-hosts talking about a specific subject or a list of specific things or subjects. I don't have a lot of details worked out yet, and I will share those details as they come forward. I want to see this community build because I want to be able to provide more for you guys. I want to be able to provide you all with more content and better content. As you can see, my bookshelf is pretty bare right now. Most of my books are packed up because I am about to move. But even then, it's still a very sparse collection. So over time, I will be adding more books, putting more book reviews up, and probably within the next month, I am hoping to do a giveaway and give away a copy of The Wanderer's Havamal to one lucky person. I will give more information about that giveaway later on as time progresses. I am also going to change up a little bit about the rewards that the Patreons get. So check out the Patreon page. The link will be in the description right down below, guys. And yes, I am going to move, but I am not moving far. I am trying to get a house. So hopefully that will work out and I can move out of an apartment. Yeah, I definitely remember back in the day when YouTube only had like one ad on a video, if that, and it was no more than like 10-20 seconds. Now you're getting like 2, 3, 4 ads in one video, and sometimes they'll be like 5-minute long ads. I remember I got an ad once that was an hour and like 45 minutes long. The whole entire ad was a goddamn fucking documentary. Like, who the fuck puts a fucking documentary as the ad on their channel? Like, that makes no fucking sense. Who's going to sit there and watch an entire hour and 45-minute fucking documentary that's actually an ad? No, fuck that. You want to get to the content that you actually wanted to watch. Although I will admit that I've left YouTube playing in the background, and I've had a couple of those like hour and a half, 2-hour fucking documentary ad things play without me even fucking realizing it. I don't even remember what those things were about. I just remember that they fucking happened. All right, so I'm gonna need you guys to all let me know either in the comments down below or through the Discord whether or not you would like to see this happen as a more regular event, or if you want this live stream to just go ahead and just stay at every 2 weeks. If you have specific topics that you would like to have discussed on the podcast, you'll be able to send me an email or let me know through a message on the Discord. And we can absolutely look at using that topic for one of the podcasts. Once a week for the live stream. I mean, I'd be okay with doing the live stream every week, but I'd have to make sure that there's enough of you guys are going to actually want to sit down and watch me for a fucking hour talk about random shit in order for me to do this. Who the fuck wants to watch an hour ad? What the... Dude, I used to be one of the infomercial kind of people, all right? Like, I wasn't on TV, but I did infomercials live in person for people in big box stores for months. And I had to travel all over the state for it, and I absolutely fucking hated it. So now I have a burning hatred for all things infomercial and refuse to watch them. Background music. Okay, I can look into figuring out how to do the background music. I'd have to figure out how to get some sort of streaming software on my computer because I don't currently have one. I'm just using the inbuilt streaming system on YouTube, and I honestly don't know enough to make it work, but I will figure it out, and for the next stream, I will have background music for you. The secret is you just add hot water and it's going to absorb 20 times its weight. Fuck you guys. I haven't had to do that shit in like, fuck, it's been 12 years. No, 11 years. And I still remember that fucking spiel. Oh my god. Oh. Fuck Flex Seal. I have no idea what the shit is, but it's basically fucking wizardry. Guy put a hole in a damn boat, covered it in Flex Seal, and it worked. Yeah, it's basically fucking wizardry. Alright. Fuck infomercials. Fuck Flex Tape. Fuck Flex Seal. Fuck the ShamWow. Fuck the European Magic Cloth. Fuck all those infomercial bullshit products. Alright. So anybody got any more questions? Any other questions, guys? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. No questions? None. All right. Well, then I think that's going to be a wrap, everybody. Thank you very much all for sticking with me for an hour of me spouting off random shit. So I'm very thankful that you guys stuck through. You watched this whole entire spiel. Remember, next time, get your questions prepared. Please do not be afraid to ask questions. I invite you all to ask any and all questions that come to your mind. They do not even have to be related to paganism or heathenry. If there is something that you have a question about or something that you want my opinion on, I will be happy to give it. With that said, I am not a medical professional and am not a substitute for any sort of therapy. Don't ask me for therapeutic help. It's not going to end well for you. Not qualified for that. So, all right. Like I said before, I'm going to drop a link to everything down in the comments or the description down below. You'll get a link to my video about Heimdall and Honir, as well as a link to Jackson Crawford's video that he did about Loki and Honir recently. I'll also make sure I drop a link for my email down there so that you all will be able to email me. Invest in GameStop at your own risk. All right. And with that, toots my goats. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.